Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another college basketball live stream. Going to be coming to you from the A10 tonight as the number 21 ranked Billikens of St. Louis set to entertain the Dayton Flyers. Game coming up momentarily. We will preview this game in just a moment. First of all, let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for looking upon us, Lord, and please look over all these players, fans, coaches, trainers. Please keep everyone safe in this game tonight, Lord. And please look over us as well and continue to do your will among us, Lord, as we ask and pray this in your name. Amen. All right, in the A10, we've got the Billikens and the Flyers. St. Louis coming into this game, riding a 14-game winning streak. They have not lost since Thanksgiving weekend to Stanford by 1 point. That was in the championship game of the Acrisure Invitational tournament over Thanksgiving weekend. 14-game winning streak for the Billikens. They are undefeated in A10 play. Dayton coming in reeling a little bit. They've lost their last three. They are sitting 14-7 overall, 5-3 in the A10. This is a Billikens team that is coming in. They average 91 points a game. They've got 5 double-digit scores on the season on the average points per game. Meanwhile, Dayton comes in. Team that averages just shy of 77 points a game. So St. Louis averages about 14 more points per game than Dayton does. Dayton's leading scorer is Javon Bennett, averaging a little over 16 a game. So I said Billikens have 5 double-digit scores. They're led by Robbie Avila with 13 points. Robbie Avila had the game-winning three-point shot in their comeback win Tuesday over George Washington. St. Louis looking to stay undefeated in conference play. And as I said, Dayton comes in on a 3-game losing streak after starting off A10 play 5-0. So they want to try to ride the ship here. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for this game tonight. First, for the Flyers of Dayton, who come in 14-7 overall, 5-3 in conference play. Up front will be Emile Letang, 7'1" sophomore out of France. Letang comes in averaging 10.6 points a game. Dayton going with the 4 guards. At 1 guard is number 10, Bryce Hurd. Bryce Hurd, a 6'6" sophomore out of Chicago. Hurd averaging at 7.1 points per ball game. Another guard is number 7, Keontae Jones. Jones, a 6'6" senior out of Madison, Wisconsin. Jones coming in averaging 9 points a game. At another guard is number 2, Deshane Montgomery for Dayton. Montgomery, a 6'4" junior out of Fort Lauderdale. Montgomery coming in, team's second leading scorer, averaging just shy of 15 a game at 14.9. And the other guard, number 0, Javon Bennett, 5'10" senior out of Orlando. As I said, he is the leading scorer on the season for Dayton. 16.3 points per ball game on the season. Dayton is led by head coach Anthony Grant at the helm of the Dayton Flyers. And actually, this game is airing on CBS Sports Network tonight. It's being pushed back 10 minutes because the game prior, Kent State and Akron, is still going on. It's got about 4 minutes left. Akron is blowing out Kent State in Akron tonight. So this Dayton-St. Louis tip has been pushed back to 8:10. So with that, let's run down the starting lineup for the Billikens of St. Louis, coming in 20-1 on the season, a perfect 8-0 in A10 play. Starting lineup looks like this. At center is number 21, Robbie Avila, 6'10 senior out of Oak Forest, Illinois. As I said, the Billikens' leading scorer on the season at 13.1 points per ball game. Hit the game-winning three-pointer on Tuesday night to defeat George Washington. At one guard for the Billikens is number 13, Dion Brown. Brown, a 6'3 senior out of Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Dion Brown coming in as the Billikens' third leading scorer at 10.9 points per ball game. Another guard, number 4, Amari McCautry for the Billikens. McCautry, a 6'6 sophomore out of Milwaukee. McCautry comes in averaging 10.5 points per ball game. At another guard for St. Louis is number 3, Trey Green. Green, a 6-foot sophomore out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Green is the team's second leading scorer at 11.8 per ball game. And the other guard for St. Louis is number 1, Quentin Jones. 6'5 junior out of Chicago. Jones comes in just shy of double digits a game as he averages 9.9 per ball game. Billikens are led by head coach Josh Schertz in his second year at the helm of the Billikens. And boy, what a year he is having. 21st in the country this week in the AP poll. 20-1 on the season and riding a 14-game winning streak for Schertz's Billikens in his second year at the helm. Our officiating crew tonight, as assigned by the A10, Bert Smith, Matt Potter, and Doug Sermons. Again, as we compare these two teams, this is a Billikens team that averages 91 points a ball game. Dayton comes in averaging just shy of 77. And not only is St. Louis winning their games, they're blowing out everybody. They score almost 91 a game and only give up about 67 a game. Dayton, in contrast, gives up about 69 a ball game. As I mentioned, Dayton coming in on a 3-game losing streak with losses at LaSalle, at St. Joseph's, and an overtime loss to Rhode Island back on Tuesday. Oh, the Billikens coming off that thrilling 3-point win over George Washington, a game they trailed most of the game by double digits. Came all the way back in the second half, and Robbie Avila hit the game-winning three-pointer with 3 seconds left in that game to extend the Billikens' winning streak to 14, which is where it is at now. Again, the tip of this game has been pushed back about 10 minutes due to the length of the prior game that's airing on CBS Sports Network. We have another top 25 matchup tonight. It's actually a top 10 matchup in East Lansing. What a matchup it is. Number 3, Michigan against number 7, Michigan State. Michigan coming off handing Nebraska their first loss of the season as Michigan won that game over Nebraska to knock Nebraska from the ranks of the undefeateds. Dwarf name tag, go Flyers, a Dayton fan. Appreciate you joining me. As I said, we're going to be pushed back here about 10 minutes. So more pre-activities here. Again, the lineups. For both these teams. So I apologize. I need to pull them back up here. As this game, Kent State and Akron game, is just about a minute away from being completed. So we're just about to get to the end of this one. Again, the lineups for the Flyers. It is Emil Letang, Bryce Hurd, Keontae Jones, Deshane Montgomery, and Javon Bennett will be the starting 5 for the Flyers. For the Billikens, they will have Robbie Avila, Dion Brown, Amari McCautry, Trey Green, and Quentin Jones. Starting 5 for the Billikens. I appreciate that, Dwarf. It'll be a good game tonight here. This is an uncharacteristic 3-game losing streak for Dayton. That is very unaccustomed territory for the Flyers as they try to get back on track here. This Kent State-Akron game that has preceded this game, this has been a blowout. As Akron's held Kent State in this prior game that's airing here to 49 points. That is very unusual for Kent State. So Dayton and St. Louis, Anthony Grant and Josh Schertz, the coaching matchup. Two very, very good coaches here in college basketball. As I mentioned, Michigan and Michigan State, a big top 10 matchup tonight in college basketball. That game is just tipped off in East Lansing. Michigan looks to keep their hot streak going. Michigan coming in 19-1, Michigan State 19-2. So both these teams projected very high seeds in the NCAA tournament. Starting when I start doing some live streams in February in college basketball, getting to be about that time of year. I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait until February. But starting in February, when I do the pregame, we'll start to talk about postseason projections, where each team is seeded or where each team bubble and all that. We're getting close to that time of year. We're going to start hearing a lot of that here come February. And we should be about to tip off now between Dayton and St. Louis as this prior game has just ended. Akron 69-52. Wow. That moves Akron to 9-1 in the MAC. But, of course, the MAC has one of the two undefeated teams remaining in college basketball, Miami of Ohio. Dwarf Name Cake says, who do I got, Dayton or St. Louis? I don't like to pick and the games I'm doing just because I don't like picking those. But I think it's going to be a very good game. St. Louis can score, so Dayton's going to have to somehow, some way, find a way to – you're not going to be totally able to stop St. Louis, I don't think, but they're going to have to somehow contain it. They're not going to be able to give up 91 a game. That's 91 tonight that St. Louis is used to scoring. They're going to have to find a way to shut down this Billikens offense somehow, some way. Tall order, tough task. But I think that's going to be the key. But no offense there. I just don't like picking the games I'm doing on the live stream. Chaffetz Arena is sold out tonight as the home crowd looks to see the Billikens go 9-0 in conference play. Billiken fans out in full force tonight. Out at Chaffetz Arena, just west of downtown St. Louis on the campus of St. Louis University. Again, the officiating crew tonight is assigned by the A10, Bert Smith, Matt Potter, and Doug Sermons. Flyers and the Billikens, Dayton going in their dark black uniforms tonight with the red lettering. St. Louis, meanwhile, in front of their home fans coming on. And we are set to jump this one up at center. St. Louis in their home whites with the blue numbers and the blue lettering. And the tip is won by the Billikens, underway on a Friday night in the Gateway City. Outside for the first possession, this is Trey Green for the Billikens, off to Avila. Avila, as I said at the beginning, hit the game-winning three on Tuesday night against George Washington. Avila starts tonight with a three-pointer, and the Billikens strike first, 3-0. Now up comes Dayton for their first possession. Now, bear with me here tonight, folks, as Dayton just turns it over on their opening possession. Bear with me tonight, folks, where my TV is. in the dark uniforms with the red letters, it might be a little bit difficult for me to tell the numbers. I ran into this problem once before with a team that had the black letters and the dark red numbers on the black uniforms. I can't remember what that team was offhand. So here come the Billikens. Here's Avila on the Billiken logo at midcourt. Gives it off now to Quentin Jones. Nice pass inside from Jones, and the feed for the easy layup to Dion Brown, and it is 5-zip out of the gate. Flyers bring it up across the midcourt stripe. This is Bennett, and now here comes a three-point shot on the way. That shot is short. Bryce Hurd with the missed three, and the rebound pulled down by St. Louis. Right, inside, this is Brown again, lost the handle, now has to kick it back out for a wide open three. Trey Green, it is 8-0 Billikens. Not the start the Flyers needed. Bennett up the floor for Dayton. Flyers need a basket to stop this early momentum by the Billikens. Outside now to Keontae Jones. Jones gives it back to Bennett. Bennett looking to drive. Bennett is cut off now by a double team. Bennett kicks it outside in the corner for a three. That is good. A much-needed three for the Flyers to get them on the board. Deshane Montgomery starts the scoring tonight for Dayton. 8-3. Avila brings it up the floor. Now here's Green. Green kicks it back to Avila. Avila drives inside. Avila's fouled, and no foul. They're going to get a travel against Avila. The basket went in, but they got steps before the basket. So that will give the basketball back to Dayton. First turnover of the night for the Billikens. Here's Bennett for Dayton. Dayton across the court too high, and the pass goes into the front row. Second turnover for Dayton. Little bit too much mustard and a little too high on that one, on the pass from Jackson Bennett. Billikens to inbound, and it comes into Quentin Jones. Guarded by Keontae Jones as Quentin Jones brings it across the midcourt stripe. Almost 3 minutes into this first half, and that's going to be an and one on the drive for Quentin Jones. And he'll have a chance for a three-point play as Keontae Jones fouled him. And another quick start on offense tonight for the Billikens. They're 4 for 4 from the floor. Jones completes the three-point play. Quentin Jones, a 79% free throw shooter, gets that one, and it is 11-3 in favor of St. Louis. Up the floor come the Flyers. On the outside with it is Montgomery. And there's a strip and a steal by the Billikens. Third turnover for Dayton. And the Billikens give it right back, and now Billikens steal it right back. Still loose on the floor. Billikens pick it up. Avila at the top of the key misses a three, and it'll go over the top. Over to Dayton. A little bit of a helter-skelter sequence right there. Flyers bring it up. Billikens showing a little bit of press, but they quickly back off as the Flyers bring it up across the midcourt stripe. 4 early turnovers in this game for Dayton. With it now is Keontae Jones. And on the dribble, nearly losing at that time, was Montgomery, but he recoups. And now Deshane Montgomery backs it up. And now a three-pointer, a forced three-pointer, is no good. Boy, that was not a good look that time. Quentin Jones with it for the Billikens. Jones passes off to Green. Green passes inside to Avila. Avila drives in the paint against a double team. Now is going to have to kick it back out. Then finds Green for three. Missed it too strong. Rebound pulled down by Dayton. Back come the Flyers. Coast to coast. The reverse will not drop for Deshane Montgomery. And back come the Billikens on the fast break. Layup is no good. That was not a good angle underneath the basket. And the Billikens rebound, but falling to the floor with it. And that's going to be a walking violation against Dion Brown. Brown got the offensive rebound, but fell down to the floor and is called for the travel. Quick start again for the Billikens as we hit our first timeout, 11-3 for St. Louis. Billikens have missed their last three shots after hitting their first four, starting out 4 for 7 from the floor. Dayton starting out just 1 out of 4. Do have one other game in the A10 coming up at the top of the hour. VCU playing host to Loyola Chicago. That game will tip off at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Michigan has jumped out to an early 10-5 lead over Michigan State. Out there in East Lansing. Game just underway, 5.5 minutes in that one. There are a lot of good games coming up in college basketball this weekend. At the half, we will preview the upcoming weekend schedule in college basketball. I will be back on for a live stream tomorrow night, a showdown in the Missouri Valley Conference. Belmont looks for their 20th win of the season as they take on Murray State. Those two teams are tied for the conference lead. Winner will take solo possession of first place in the Missouri Valley. I will try to have a game before that one tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to depend on how my work schedule goes. But we'll definitely be on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern for that showdown for first place in the Missouri Valley between Murray State and Belmont. And here it's a quick 11-3 lead for the Billikens over Dayton. About 4.5 minutes into this first half at a sold-out Chaffetz Arena. Students are out in full force tonight. This is a St. Louis team. As I said, they score almost 91 points a game. They outscore their opponents this season by almost 24 points a game is their scoring margin. I mean, they are just blowing out everybody. George Washington gave them a good game the other night before the Billikens came back in the second half to win that one. But, I mean, they are not just winning. They are dominating. And they're off to a quick start in this one tonight. It'll be Dayton ball out of the timeout. Flyers will bring it in. Billikens with some press here on the inbound. Dayton does get it in, and we'll bring it up across the midcourt stripe. Javon Bennett. I've been calling him Jackson Bennett. My apologies. It's Javon Bennett, and he gets the shot to go in the paint. His first 2 points, and it's 11-5 in favor of the Billikens. With it now is Green on the outside for St. Louis. Green gives it off to McCautry. McCautry guarded on the outside. McCautry now drives in the paint, puts it up with the left hand, too short. Rebound pulled down by Dayton. Good defensive stand there for the Flyers. And a great feed inside and a dunk underneath. That's Jayun Simon, who just checked in the game at the timeout, getting that dunk there, and Dayton's within 4, but Avila with a great feed inside to Trey Green, and the Billikens answer 13-7 in favor of St. Louis. Here's Bennett on the outside. Bennett looking for help. Shot clock down to 10 for Dayton. Tough shot in the paint, up and no good by Simon. Rebound pulled down by the Billikens. Trying to push that lead back to 8 again, and the drive inside, and they do indeed push it back to 8 as Dion Brown gets inside and puts it in with the right hand. 15-7 lead for St. Louis. Dayton at the other end, and there's inside to Simon, his second field goal, and it's 15-9. Fast pace here in this one between these two teams. Avila with it on the outside. Avila finds Quentin Jones. Now off to Trey Green for a deep three, and it goes for Trey Green. His second three of the half. He's got 8, and the Billikens lead 18-9. Third three-pointer of the half for St. Louis. They're 3 for 5 from beyond the arc. Dayton trying to answer at the other end with an open three. That shot is short from Bennett. Rebound pulled down by Green. Up the floor to McCautry. McCautry drives inside. McCautry spins. McCautry turns and gets it to go. Amari McCautry with his first field goal. And the Billikens are up 11, 20-9, and they steal the inbound pass. But can't get the shot to go, but we do have a foul. Quentin Jones jumped right in and stole the inbound pass. And he gets fouled and will have a chance to go to the free throw line. And that's the second foul on Keontae Jones. First free throw up by Quentin Jones. And good. First substitution for the Billikens. Otinho comes into the game. He will replace McCautry as Quentin Jones goes 2 for 2 at the line. 22-9 Billikens. Dayton needing some points here and trying to get some defensive stops as they bring it across the midcourt stripe. Here's an open, passing up on the open three-pointer and driving inside and getting the layup for 2. That's Jordan Durkak. 22-11. At the other end, layup no. Offensive rebound for Otinho, and he'll put it back and score. When the Billikens miss, they're right there to grab the offensive rebound. Billikens 9 of 14 from the field. They lead at 24-11. Now on the outside, top of the key, three-pointer is off the rim, no good by Malcolm Thomas, and the rebound to St. Louis. It's 1 and out for Dayton. Trey Green hits another three. His third three of the half. Timeout Dayton. And it is all Billikens early on, 27-11. With 11:41 to play in the opening half, we are seeing why this Billikens team scores about 91 points a game. We're seeing the kind of offense they have in the first 8.5 minutes of this first half so far, as they've already put 27 on the board on 67% shooting. Dayton shooting just 5 of 11 for 45% here in the first half. As the Billikens out quickly in this one. Michigan State still hasn't scored since the last check in that game. Michigan now leads 15-5. 11:34 to play in the opening half in that game in East Lansing. So Michigan, after handing Nebraska their first loss of the season earlier this week, they're going into East Lansing and taking it to the Spartans early on. Again, another A10 game coming up at the top of the hour. Loyola Chicago and VCU. Game will tip off at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'll preview all the big matchups and look ahead to the big matchups in college basketball coming up at the half. There are some good matchups this weekend. Talk about all those at the half. And who's hot right now in college basketball, who's not right now in college basketball, who's not hot right now in college basketball is a school located only about an hour and a half north of where I am, and that's the Purdue Boilermakers. They're in a serious slump right now. And who's hot is this team right here tonight, the St. Louis Billikens, 27-11. Dayton had to take a timeout there. So following the timeout, it'll be Dayton ball. Billikens, of course, in front in the A10. Dayton currently tied for fourth in the conference. Dayton brings it up the floor. Outside with it is Montgomery. And we are going to have a foul inside on St. Louis. That's their first foul of the game on the Billikens. And I think they're going to get Otinho for this one. Man, they do. That is his first. Just 3 fouls combined in the first 8.5 minutes. So officials letting them play so far in this one. Like to see that. Flyers bring it in. Jacob Connor driving inside. Nice feed inside, going up for the dunk, but missing the dunk. However, we have a foul on the Billikens, and this will be 2 shots at the line for Dayton. Foul is charged to Brady Dunlap. That is his first. Malcolm Thomas tried to go up for the slam, but he was fouled, and he'll have to earn 2 at the free throw line here. First free throw by Thomas is long. Thomas averaging just over 5 points a game this year, 5.2. He's just a 60% free throw shooter on the season. It's that one. 27-12, the Billikens lead as we approach the 11-minute mark here in the first half. Now Dayton set up a slight bit of press, but the Billikens break it easily and get an easy layup for Otinho underneath the basket. Otinho's first field goal, 29-12 St. Louis. Here's Connor on the outside for Dayton. Connor looking for help, gets it inside. And off the glass, scoring off the glass with a tough shot there is Malcolm Thomas with his first field goal. And it makes it 29-14. Trey Green brings it up for the Billikens, and now we'll slow it up. Green off for another three-pointer and another three-pointer. This one for Ishan Sharma for the Billikens. And they push the lead to 18, 32-14. Billikens 5 of 7 now from beyond the arc. Here comes Dayton. Shot clock at 10. On the drive and losing the basketball out of bounds. We're going to have a foul coming up on St. Louis. That'll be number 2 on Paul Otinho. So Otinho picks up his second here for St. Louis. Team's third. Billikens bring it in. This is Javon Bennett. Bennett on the outside now drives. Bennett in the paint. The turnaround shot off the bottom of the backboard. Gets his own rebound, however. Shot clock didn't reset. Shot clock's down to 1. Shot no good. Offensive rebound is blocked from behind. However, but there was also body there, and there's going to be a foul. We're going to get Quentin Jones with the foul. He got the block, but he also got some body, and Lee Tang will head to the line for 2 for the Flyers. First free throw is up and good. St. Louis is on pace for a 64-point half. Second free throw on the way is also good. 32-16, the St. Louis lead. Bringing it up the floor for the Billikens is Kellen Thames. Over to Avila, into Thames, but couldn't hang on, and the ball goes out of bounds. Fourth turnover for the Billikens. Well, that was a perfect pass from Avila right into Thames, but couldn't quite hang on to it. Here come the Flyers, looking to get a little bit closer. Bennett with it on the Billikens logo at midcourt. Bennett off to the left side now. Now driving inside, instead kicking it out to the corner. And now driving inside, the turnaround shot by Montgomery off the glass, no good. Rebound pulled down by St. Louis. Another deep three, this time no good for the Billikens. A rare miss from out there. And back come the Flyers. Bennett, Javon Bennett, nice dish inside and the finish. That was a great feed to Deshane Montgomery from Javon Bennett. And it cuts it to 32-18 for St. Louis. Avila with it. And Avila misses the point-blank layup, and back comes Dayton the other way. And the Dayton loses it. Back the other way come the Billikens. 6 Dayton turnover of the half, shot off the glass, no good, but there's a follow dunk for Quentin Jones off the miss. 34-18. Billikens lead back to 16. Here's Montgomery trying to drive, gets cut off. Now goes into Lee Tang. Lee Tang lost the basketball, out of bounds. And the Billikens force another turnover. That's the 7th Dayton turnover of the first half. And we're at the under 8 timeout with 7:50 to go in the first half. All Billikens so far, 34-18, as they look to push their winning streak to 15 in a row. Billikens still over 60% shooting, 13 of 21. They're still red hot from three-point range at 5 out of 8. As the Billikens have been in command pretty much from the outset in this one. Meanwhile, Michigan doing a defensive number on Michigan State. It's 20-10. Michigan has held Michigan State to 10 points in the first 12 and a half minutes of the first half, as they lead that game by 10. Trey Green leading the way so far in this first half for the Billikens. He's got 11 points. Dayton's being led in this first half by Deshane Montgomery. He's got 5. These two teams, this is the first of 2 meetings between these two teams this year. They will meet again on February the 24th in Dayton. St. Louis coming into this game tonight ranked 19th in the net. Again, as I said, starting on my live streams in February, we'll start to say where these teams are projected postseason-wise, which teams are on the bubble, which teams, because Selection Sunday is only 6 weeks from this Sunday. That is hard to believe. Billikens bring it up the floor. Up 16. Quentin Jones with it on the outside for St. Louis, looking to drive, cannot, gets cut off. And now Jones looking for help. Gets it over to Sharma. Sharma into Avila. Avila looking to spin. Avila drives inside, gets fouled on the way up. No, they're going to get him for steps. Excuse me. There was a lot of contact underneath there, but they say he walked before the contact, and it'll be the 5th turnover against the Billikens. Here comes Dayton up the floor. Needing some points here. Javon Bennett on the outside. Now Montgomery. Deshane Montgomery looking to drive. Cannot. Kicks it back outside to Javon Bennett. 8 to shoot for Dayton. Here's Bennett. Shot clock at 4. Bennett drives. Kicks it out for a 3-pointer that is no good. And what do we got? It looks like Simon stepped out of bounds prior to shooting the 3-pointer. So that's going to be the 8th Dayton turnover. Dayton now has more turnovers than field goals. 8 turnovers, 7 field goals. Here come the Billikens. Quentin Jones with it on the outside. Jones into the corner. And a long pass, almost back to the midcourt stripe. And now Jones back with it. Shot clock down to 5. Brown. Billikens are going to have to get a shot off here, and they just do. It's going to be a shot clock violation as it did not hit the rim. Billikens lost track of the clock that time, and they turned it over for the 6th time. So we've been stuck here at 34-18 for the last couple minutes. Offenses have slowed down here a bit. Here's Bennett for Dayton. Behind the back pass to Montgomery, who will take a 3-pointer. That's a little strong. Rebound pulled down by Avila of the Billikens. 6 to play, first half. Dion Brown on the drive, gets underneath, gives it off to Jones. And the pass goes off Jones' hands, out of bounds. That's the 3rd consecutive trip with a turnover for St. Louis. Turnovers starting to pile up here. 8 against Dayton, 7 for St. Louis. Here's Dayton now with the ball on the outside. Again, their shot clock running down. It's down to 5 on the drive. Right-hand shot, no good. Good defense underneath for the Billikens that trip. And now the Billikens will slow it down a little bit. Here's Avila. Now Avila looks to drive, kicks it outside for Trey Green, who hits another 3-pointer. Trey Green is red hot from three-point range. He's got 14 on 4 for 5 shooting from three, 37-18. We've just ticked under 5 minutes to play here in the first half. Bennett gives it off to Durkek. Durkek lost the basketball. Back come the Billikens. Dayton turns it over for the 9th time. And the nice speed inside from Dion Brown. And the reverse layup is good for McCautry. And the St. Louis lead is 21, 39-18. Dayton somehow, some way, looking to try to find some offense. They've been stuck on 18 for about 3 minutes now. Bennett drives inside with the left hand. That's too hard. Rebound to St. Louis. Dayton now just 7 of 19 shooting. McCautry kicks it outside to Jones for 3, and it's good. The run now 10-0 for the Billikens. Another Dayton timeout. It is 42-18 St. Louis. 4:02 remaining in the first half. It has been all Billikens since the opening tip. As they are still in the 60% range in shooting, 16 of 25, 64%. And they are a red hot 7 of 11 from three-point range. Well, the Billikens average 90.9 a game, and they're well on their way to hitting that number again. As it is 42-18 here in the first half. Dayton last scored at the 8:45 mark of the first half. So they are in almost a 5-minute scoring drought. And the Billikens have scored 10 in that span to bust this game open to a 24-point spread, 42-18. Update on that Michigan State score. Spartans have cut the gap here. They're within 5 at 24-19. 4:50 left in the first half in that one. So Dayton's had to use 2 timeouts here in the first half, as they have got to somehow, some way, find a way to get some offense and stop this run, because Dayton's in some serious danger of getting run right off the floor here tonight. They're down 24. If they could cut this in half by the halftime break, get it down to roughly 12-13 or so, give themselves a little bit of momentum going into the halftime locker room. Try and get themselves back in this game. So out of the timeout, it will be Dayton ball. .402 to play first half. Here come the Flyers on the inbound, as they will bring it up across the midcourt stripe. Javon Bennett. Bennett looking. Finds Keontae Jones. Now the bounce pass inside. And spinning inside the turnaround with the left hand is good. And that stops an over 5-minute scoring drought for Dayton. 42-20. Near turnover there. McContry behind the back to Avila, but couldn't hang on. And the Billikens turn it over. At the other end, open three, Javon Bennett. That is short. Rebound pulled down by St. Louis. Back come the Billikens. Nice pass inside. Layup, no, but we have a foul on Dayton, and Quentin Jones will head to the line to shoot two. Quentin Jones at the line. He's already at his season average with 10 points here in the first half. First of two is good. Otinho returns to the Billikens lineup, and he'll give Avila a breather. Second free throw up, and it rolls in for Quentin Jones. Jones with a dozen here in the first half. Brady Dunlap returns for the Billikens. He'll replace Trey Green. Trey Green's had a hot first half. Now Billikens again apply a little bit of pressure. Dayton able to break it and bring it across the midcourt stripe. Javon Bennett gives it off to Montgomery. Now driving, gets free, and a tough acrobatic shot is no good. And I think that they got Otinho, that's his third, and they did. Otinho just checked back in the game and just picked up his third foul. So he's probably going to have to go right back to the bench here with 3 fouls. Deshane Montgomery at the line for 2 for Dayton. Montgomery's second leading scorer on the season for Dayton at 14.9 a game. 83% free throw shooter. First of 2 free throws for Montgomery is good. Montgomery has 1 more. Second free throw on the way is also good. Montgomery's team high 7 points for Dayton. And the Billikens lead at 44-22. That's a terrible pass down the court, and Dayton gets an easy steal. And now driving with the right hand shot up, no good. Boy, there's just a lid on the basket for Dayton right now. Down to 36% from the floor. Quentin Jones tries to drive, will back it back out now. 2:20 to go in the half. And Dayton knocks that ball out of bounds as Kellen Thames was going up for the layup. It will stay with the Billikens with 12 on the shot clock. Dunlap to bring it in for the Billikens. And there's a bad inbound again. And Dayton steals the pass. Alley-oop inside and the finish. With the Billikens now with 10 turnovers in the first half. 5 turnovers in about the last 2 minutes, and they almost turn it over again. But we're going to have a foul instead on Dayton. Billikens starting to get very, very careless with the basketball. Anthony Grant wanting an explanation on that foul. Only 9 fouls combined here in the first half. Anthony Grant is pretty upset over there on the Dayton sideline. He did not like that last foul call at all. Timeout called here with exactly 2 minutes to play here in the first half. Billikens leading by 20. Anthony Grant still discussing. I'm pretty sure it's over that last foul call. It was the third foul on Keontae Jones. I think that's another reason Anthony Grant's not too pleased. Billikens inbound here. This is Thames on the outside. Over to Quentin Jones. Jones to Thames. Thames gets inside the paint and scores the quick short one. Kellen Thames with his first field goal, and it's 46-24 St. Louis. Bennett gets free and will take a three-pointer and hit it. Javon Bennett with his first three. He's got 5 now in the game. Just Dayton's second three-pointer of the first half. And it's 46-27. .114 remaining here in the first half. Foul called on the Flyers here. This one's on to Shane Montgomery. That'll be his first. Team fifth. Billikens bring it in. Thames with it. Gives it off to Jones. Final minute, first half. Thames on the drive. Thames gets cut off, kicks it outside, and that's going to be a violation against the Billikens. They turn it over for the 11th time here in the first half. And now Josh Schert's not happy. Here comes Dayton, a chance to inch a little closer. Have a chance to go 2 for 1 here. Bennett. Over to Bryce Hurd. Back outside to Bennett. Back to Hurd. 10 to shoot for Dayton. Bennett out on the three-point arc. Now driving inside. Bennett puts it up with the right hand. No, but he is fouled. And I think they're going to get Brady Dunlap on that foul. And to the line for 2 free throws. Will be Javon Bennett. That is on Brady Dunlap, so that's his second. And Javon Bennett, first of 2 free throws, is good. 90% free throw shooter on the season is Bennett. This to cut it to 17. And that's good. Dayton on a little mini run here. 46-29. Shot clock, game clock virtually identical. And the Billikens will run it down for what I would assume will be the final shot of the first half. Down to 12. Jones on the Billiken logo, now starting to run the offense. Jones spins, gets inside, left hand no good. Rebound for Dayton. They've got 1 second. And the heave from just inside half court is off the mark. And that's how we will go to the half, with the Billikens leading 46-29. But Dayton ended that half on a little mini 7-2 run to get it down to 17 at the half. They were down 22. a couple times in the first half, but go on some nice little runs there. And it's 46-29 at the half. Billikens leading the Flyers as the Billikens look to run their winning streak to 15. Dayton, meanwhile, trying to snap a 3-game losing streak, but they're going to need a big second half rally in order to do that, as they're down 17 here at the break. Update from that other top 25 matchup in East Lansing. It's actually a top 7 matchup between number 3 Michigan and number 7 Michigan State. Michigan's up 31-21 with 2.5 minutes remaining in the opening half out there in East Lansing. And again, coming up the top of the hour very shortly here, the other A10 matchup of the night, Loyola Chicago in Richmond to take on VCU. Game just about to tip off. So we told you about Michigan State tonight in this top 7 matchup. Let's look at some matchups across the country in the top 25 over the weekend. One of the 2 remaining undefeated teams and the unanimous number 1 team, Arizona. They were unanimous number 1 for the second week in a row in the AP poll. Arizona, they'll be in action tomorrow in Tempe against their rivals from Arizona State, as Arizona looks to move to 22-0. That'll be the second matchup this year between those 2 teams. That game will tip off at 2 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, as Arizona looks to stay undefeated on the season. Number 2 team in the country, UConn. They're in action tomorrow as well on the road in the Big East in Omaha against the Creighton Blue Jays. That'll be a primetime tip tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Right now, I know I said I wasn't going to do this until February, but Creighton's an interesting talk right now. Creighton right now is fighting for their at-large lives at this point. This is, even though it's the number 2 team in the country coming in, UConn, this really is a game that Creighton has to have if they want to keep any chance of an at-large hope alive in the NCAA tournament. Got number 3 Michigan playing tonight. Number 4 team Duke, they're on the road in Blacksburg tomorrow to take on Virginia Tech. That game tips off at noon tomorrow. Duke looks for their 20th win. They come in 19-1 on the season. Number 5 team in the country, Nebraska. They are off tomorrow. They suffered their first loss of the season this past Tuesday against Michigan. Nebraska will be in action on Sunday. Another tough game for them on Sunday as the number 9 Fighting Illini of Illinois come into Lincoln. That will be a 4 o'clock tip-off on Sunday. I probably will be on for the live stream of that game between Illinois and Nebraska on Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern time tip. Number 6, Gonzaga has St. Mary's coming to town tomorrow in that West Coast Conference battle. 2 teams that are always fighting for that West Coast Conference title, it seems like, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. That is a tip, 10:30 Eastern time tomorrow night, 7:30 out west there in Spokane tomorrow night for Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Continuing down the top 25, schedule for tomorrow and for this weekend. Of course, number 7, Michigan State in action tonight against Michigan. Number 8, Iowa State. They are in action coming up on Sunday in Manhattan, Kansas, against Kansas State. That will be a 2 o'clock Eastern time tip on Sunday. Iowa State comes in 19-2. They just walloped Who was that they beat the other day? I had it, completely lost it. They walloped somebody earlier in the week. I can't remember who it was now, but. And of course, told you number 9, Illinois in action in Lincoln on Sunday against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, as Nebraska tries to get another winning streak started. Number 10, Houston. They will be hosting the Bearcats of Cincinnati. That is a noon Eastern tip tomorrow down there in Houston. Number 11, Texas Tech. They beat Houston last weekend. Texas Tech heads to Orlando to take on UCF in that Big 12 matchup. That is also a noon tip tomorrow down there in sunny Florida. Excuse me. Number 12 team in the country, Purdue. That's a team that is really struggling right now. Purdue has lost 3 in a row. They have a home loss to Illinois earlier in the week. They hit the road Sunday to take on Maryland. That is a 1 o'clock tip. Purdue trying to salvage this thing, trying not to send their losing streak to 4. Now, they are getting a Maryland team that is struggling this season. But the way Purdue is playing right now, nothing's a given right now. And any game on the road in the Big Ten or in any conference is not going to be an easy one. So Purdue trying to right the ship there with that game at Maryland coming up on Sunday. Number 13, BYU. They are at Allen Fieldhouse tomorrow taking on number 14, Kansas. That's probably the game of the day in the country tomorrow. That is a 4:30 Eastern time tip at Allen Fieldhouse between BYU and Kansas. BYU almost handed Arizona their first loss the other night, but Arizona found a way to pull that out. So that game will be coming up tomorrow at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. Number 15, Arkansas. They don't play again until later on next week. They've got the weekend off, does Arkansas. Unless I'm missing them on here, but Yeah, Arkansas will not. I'm sorry, they do host they host Kentucky tomorrow. I'm sorry, I overlooked it. Number 15, Arkansas, John Calipari going up against his former school tomorrow. That'll be an interesting one. 6:30 Eastern time tip for that game tomorrow. Number 16, North Carolina in Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech. That's a mid-afternoon tip tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Number 17, Virginia. They hit the road at Chestnut Hill to take on Boston College. That's a 1:30 Eastern time tip-off tomorrow in the ACC. Number 18, Vanderbilt. They're starting to right the ship again after that 3-game losing streak they suffered a couple weeks ago. They're in action at home against Ole Miss tomorrow. That'll be a 6 o'clock tip. All these times I give you are Eastern time. Number 19, Florida. And the defending national champion, the Florida Gators. They are in action on Sunday. They will be hosting number 23, Alabama, in Gainesville on Sunday. That is a 1 o'clock tip down in Gainesville, Florida, for Florida and Alabama. Louisville coming in this week at number 20. Louisville hosts SMU tomorrow. That's a mid-afternoon tip, 2 o'clock. Of course, we got number 21, St. Louis in action here, up by 15, or up by 17, rather, at the half. Clemson Tigers coming in this week at number 22. They're in action tomorrow at home as they will be hosting Pitt. That's a noon Eastern time tip. At number 20, at number 24 this weekend, the other lone remaining undefeated team in the country, Miami of Ohio. They will be hosting Northern Illinois tomorrow. I had Miami of Ohio in a live stream the other night. They eked one out over UMass to stay undefeated. Miami of Ohio and Arizona, the lone two remaining undefeated teams in the country. And rounding out the top 25 schedule, number 25, St. John's. St. John's is actually not in action again until Tuesday when they travel to Chicago to take on DePaul. So that's the top 25 schedule for the weekend. BYU and Kansas, Illinois, Nebraska, Alabama, Florida. We've got some good matchups around the calendar this weekend around college basketball. We're talking about some of the teams that are hot right now. Of course, you've got to talk about the Billikens. That's one of the hottest teams in the country right now. Arizona, they've had a couple of close calls, but they've found a way to pull them out. Arizona, probably the best team in the country at this point. Iowa State getting back on track. So those are some of the teams trending in the right direction. Now, if we talk about teams going the other way, I talked about one of them, Purdue, currently on a 3-game losing streak right now, as they had another tough loss the other night to their rivals from Bloomington, the Indiana Hoosiers. 72-67 in that game. Purdue tries to right the ship on Sunday at Maryland, but that's a Purdue team just struggling right now as they were defeated by Illinois as well before that Indiana game. So Matt Painter looking to get that corrected down there. And as I mentioned, we have two remaining undefeated teams, Arizona and Miami of Ohio. They're both in action tomorrow. Nebraska tries to start another winning streak. So we've got a lot of teams. This is one of the most wide open seasons, I think. You could pick any of about 10 to 15 teams right now, I think, that could have a legitimate shot at winning the title as of where we are right now. Now, of course, we have still a little bit over a month left in the regular season to see if some teams start to kind of space themselves out. I think Arizona right now may have spaced themselves out from the rest of college basketball as far as best teams right now. There's still time to close that gap. Arizona's number one in the country. They've been a unanimous number one the last 2 weeks, and to me, they do indeed look like the best team in the country right now. And meanwhile, in this game here tonight, St. Louis leading Dayton 46-29. Let's run down some of the first half stats in this game between the Billikens and the Flyers. Billikens just red hot shooting in that first half. 17 of 27 for 63%. They were 7 of 11 from three-point range at 64%. Perfect 5 of 5 at the free throw line. For Dayton, they shot just 42%, 10 of 24 from the floor, just 2 of 8 from beyond the arc at 25%. And they were 7 of 8 at the free throw line for 88%. Rebound edge went to the Billikens 15-8. Dayton only had 8 rebounds in that first half. Of course, when you have a team that shoots over 60%, you're not going to have a lot of rebounding opportunities. Turnovers were a bit of a bugaboo, both teams in the first half. Billikens turned it over 11 times in that first half. Flyers turned it over 9 times. So 20 combined turnovers between the two teams in the first half. They want to try to clean that up a little bit. Individual scoring in that first half, the Billikens were led by Trey Green's 14 points on 5 of 6 shooting and 4 of 5 from three-point range. 12 points out of Quentin Jones, 4 points apiece from Amari McCautry, Dion Brown, and Paul Otinho. 3 points out of Ishan Sharma and Robbie Avila. Avila only with a 3-point first half in this one for the Billikens. Kellen Thames added 2. For Dayton, they were led by a couple 7-point scorers in the first half to Shane Montgomery and Javon Bennett, 7 points apiece. 5 points out of Malcolm Thomas off the bench, 4 points for Jayun Simon. And 2 points apiece from Emil Letang, Bryce Hurd, and Jordan Durkek to wrap up the scoring for Dayton in that first half. As the Billikens lead at 46-29 here at intermission, as we are just about set to begin the second half. Billikens look to run their winning streak to 15 in a row. Dayton trying to avoid a fourth consecutive loss. But they're going to have to come from 17 down if they want to avoid that fourth straight loss. So here we go, just about ready to start half number 2. Couple guys are in some foul issues here. Dayton, Keontae Jones with three fouls for Dayton. Paul Otinho, 3 fouls for St. Louis. It'll be Dayton ball to open the second half, and it's inbounded, and here we go. 20 minutes remaining in this one. First possession of the second half belongs to the Flyers. Here's Montgomery on the outside. Keontae Jones with it. Jones, nice look inside and off the glass and in. As the first 2 points of the second half belong to the Flyers as Letang gets the basket. 46-31. Lead down to 15, and that's going to be a near turnover. That's the one thing at the end of that first half. Billikens got a little careless with the basketball. They almost turned it over right there on their first possession of the second half. Here's the Billikens. Outside it goes to Avila. Avila hits a 3. He only had 3 points in the first half. He got the very first basket of the game for the Billikens and didn't score again. And he gets this basket here to make it 49-31. Here come the Flyers. Montgomery on the drive and lays it in with the left hand. Montgomery now with 9, but forgetting to get back, and the Billikens get an easy fast break layup from Dion Brown. Dayton forgot to get back on defense there, and it's 51-33. Flyers at the other end. Layup by Letang, no good, but we have a foul called. I've actually tried, if you're following along with it, I've actually tried to refresh the screen, and it is not refreshing, so whoever's in charge of that stat board is a little slow on the trigger. So I'm first free throw up and good for Letang. There will be one more. One more coming, and it is good. 51-35 is the score. Billikens up 16. Jones off to Dion Brown. Shot is blocked. Letang got in for the block, and then we have a reach-in foul on the rebound against St. Louis. This will be on Quentin Jones. That'll be his second. So Dayton's picked up the defense here a little bit at the end of the first half and here in the second half. And it's created some problems for the Billikens. Bennett brings it up the floor for Dayton, a chance to get a little bit closer. Bennett looks Off to Montgomery now. Montgomery drives inside. Montgomery layup is good, and the Flyers are within 14 at 51-37. And the Billikens turn it over again. Back comes Dayton. Letang spins. Left hand is good, and this is down to a 12-point game. Timeout called by Josh Schertz in St. Louis. The Flyers coming out on fire here in the second half as they've pulled within 12. They were down 22 at one point late in the first half. Flyers making a run here, 51-39. I keep trying to refresh the stat board here, but nothing doing. In case you're keeping track. On the stat board, Michigan at the half is up on Michigan State 42-26. That is probably the second best team in the country right now, Michigan. That is a tough team and a very good ball club for head coach Dusty May. They're underway in Richmond between Loyola Chicago and VCU. Loyola out to a quick 8-1 lead over VCU in the first half. But a nice little run here for Dayton at the end of the first half and here to begin the second half as they're clawing their way back in this one. It is 51-39. As I'm guessing that's it is the Billikens swim team in the student section. Again, St. Louis coming into the game on a 14-game winning streak. They're 19th in the net rankings. They are currently a projected 5 seed in the latest NCAA tournament projection. So following the timeout for the Billikens, this is Quentin Jones bringing the ball up for St. Louis. Both teams down to 2 timeouts here. Deion Brown back outside to Jones. Back over to Deion Brown. Thought about the 3. Now passes off into the corner to Trey Green. Green lost it momentarily. Green forces up a 3. No good. Shot clock was down to 3 seconds. We've got a foul on the Billikens on the rebound. That's going to go against McCautry. That'll be McCautry's first. Team's third here in the second half. So the Flyers, if they can get a 3-pointer this trip, they can pull this deficit inside double digits. Javon Bennett with it. Bennett on the drive. Bennett passes outside to Montgomery in the corner. Now Keontae Jones, and we have another foul on the Billikens. This will already be their 4th of. on the foul. Inbound to the Flyers. This is Bennett. Bennett driving. Bennett bounce pass. And now the drive inside. Turnaround in the paint is good. And this is a 10-point game. 8-0 spurt for Dayton. McCautry. Off to Trey Green. Back over to McCautry. Green now outside. Passes off to Dion Brown. He misses a three. Rebound pulled down by the Flyers. Chance to get this in deficit to single digits. Bennett off to Montgomery. Deshane Montgomery on the drive. Layup is rimmed out. Rebound pulled down by the Billikens. That was halfway down and it rimmed out. The spin move inside the paint. That's no good. Brown keeps it alive. Follow is good by McCautry on the feed from Dion Brown. That stops the run for Dayton and pushes the lead back to 12, and the Flyers turn it over. Avila picks up the loose ball. Here's Green. Green into the corner. Quentin Jones hits a three in front of the Billiken bench. And there's a quick 5 for the Billikens after Dayton had cut it down to 10. 56-41. Keontae Jones on the outside. Gets it inside. Letang has it taken away. Jones went in and just took it right out of his hand. Trey Green misses a three. Rebound pulled down by Dayton. And then we have a foul on Dion Brown. That'll be team foul number 5. Dion Brown's first. As we hit a timeout with 14:34 to play. Billikens back up 15, 56-41 over the Dayton Flyers. Billikens will next be in action on Tuesday. They hit the road to take on the Wildcats of Davidson. It'll be a late tip for that one, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Meanwhile, for Dayton, they're back in action coming up on Tuesday as well. They will return home to UD Arena and take on St. Bonaventure. The Bonnies of St. Bonaventure coming to town. Again, this is the first of 2 regular season meetings between these two teams. These two teams will meet again on February the 24th in Dayton. (56-41) our score. Billikens in front with 14:34 remaining. Michigan, they're underway in the second half in East Lansing. Michigan up 42-30 over Michigan State. Loyola Chicago up 19-9 on VCU. Loyola Chicago having a terrible year this year. But this could get their momentum going in the right direction if they can go on the road and knock off VCU. (56-41). Well, the Billikens have already been called for 5 fouls here in the second half. And Dayton will inbound here out of the timeout. Flyers will bring it in. Up across the midcourt stripe is Bennett. Javon Bennett. Bennett looking to drive, gets cut off. Gives it to Montgomery. Montgomery puts it on the floor, and it's taken away by Thames. Another Dayton turnover. Avila thought about a long three. Now will drive inside and get fouled. Robbie Avila will head to the line for 2. Foul is going to be called on Thomas. Avila's been held to 6 points tonight. First of 2 is no good. Got one more coming. And got that one. 57-41, the lead for St. Louis. Flyers bring it up with less than 14 minutes to go. Bennett knocked away momentarily. Thomas gets to the loose ball back outside to Bennett. Javon Bennett drives. Bennett kicks it outside. And now the drive and the left hand shot no good. Rebound pulled down by the Billikens. And a three-pointer on the way. Trey Green hits another one for St. Louis. And the lead back to 19, 60-41. (9-0) run for the Billikens after Dayton had cut it to 10. Runner in the paint is no good. Avila pulls down the rebound for St. Louis. Jones back outside and another three-pointer. (63-41). This ties the Billikens' largest lead of the game at 22. Dayton in another drought like they were in the first half. They went over 5 minutes between points in the first half. Their drought's approaching 4 minutes here. Layup for Dayton. That's going to go to stop the run. 63-43. Folks, I apologize. I've lost my stat board here, so I'm going to kind of winging it here. Avila. Nice look inside, and the finish by Quentin Jones off a great feed from Trey Green. 65-43. Under 12 to go. Thomas looking to drive against Avila. Thomas in the paint. Turnaround jumper is good. Good shot there by Thomas as he went over Avila. 65-45. A deep three on the way. That was way back there from Trey Green. Man, is he hot from three-point range. 68-45, Billikens. Bennett finds Thomas. Thomas at the top of the key for 3. It's good. Thomas answers with the three, and it's 68-48. And now we're going to have a foul on the Flyers. And that will bring us to the under 12 timeout. Billikens back up by 20. Just over 11 minutes to play in this one. 68-48. St. Louis. Spartans are on the comeback trail against Michigan. That lead is down to 5 for the Wolverines, 46-41. Still 15 minutes to go. Billikens in this game still over 60% shooting, 63%. And they are 12 of 19 for 63% from three-point range. Trey Green with 20 points tonight on 6 of 9 shooting from beyond the arc. $11:03 remaining. Dayton had cut this thing down to 10. It looked like they were going to get themselves back in it. But the Billikens answered quickly and have not really let Dayton back in it since that point. Billikens to inbound. McCautry with it. McCautry on the drive. Shot blocked. Billikens get the loose ball, and then we have a foul. This one's going to go against Bennett, I believe. And Otinho heads to the line for the Billikens. First is good. Otinho with one more free throw. And that is also good. Six points now for Otinho, 70-48 Billikens. 10.5 to go. Bennett. Bennett with it again on the outside. Bennett looks for help. Gets it to Lee Tang, and then the shot inside goes down. 70-50. Thames bounce pass to McCautry, who puts it in with the right hand on the great feed from Kellen Thames. McCautry now with 8. Lee Tang off the glass, can't get it to go. Thames with the rebound. Thames keeps the dribble alive and kicks it back out and will set it up. Here's now Trey Green. Green with 20 points done. He throws up an NBA range 3, and they are almost all falling for Trey Green tonight. 23 points, 7 of 10 from three-point range. Biggest lead of the night for the Billikens. That shot's no good. And back comes St. Louis. Thames outside, and McCautry thought about it. Now will drive inside, put it up, no good, but he gets fouled, and McCautry will have 2 shots at the line. $9:10 remaining in this one. Foul is called on Bryce Hurd. First of 2 is short. One more free throw coming for McCautry. 8 points tonight for McCautry. Second one is good. 76-50. Billikens with their largest lead of the night. And almost a turnover there for Dayton. And a three-point shot on the way is too strong. Rebound pulled down by McCautry. McCautry drives, takes it coast to coast, cannot hit, but gets fouled. And that'll be number 4 on Keontae Jones. So Keontae Jones picks up foul number 4. And McCautry heads right back to the free throw line. And short again on the first. Jacob Connor returns to the lineup for the Flyers. And McCautry misses both this time. Rebound to Dayton. 8:40 to go. Outside to Montgomery. Deshade Montgomery backs it up. 8 to shoot. Montgomery on the drive. Montgomery throws it up there. No good. Offensive rebound for the Flyers. They'll kick it back out, and a 3 in the corner is good. Deshane Montgomery now with 16 tonight for Dayton. He's been one of the bright spots for them tonight. Top of the key, three-pointer. That's going to go. The Billikens are still red hot from three-point range as Sharma hits that one. 79-53. Pass goes inside. Connor can't get it to go. Rebound pulled down by the Billikens. Here's Trey Green, who's got the hot hand tonight. Into McCautry. McCautry, great pass, and a foul. And that will send the Billikens to the line with 7:27 to go. Billikens well on their way to their 15th consecutive win and win number 21 on the season. It's 79-53. Dayton's picked up their shooting a little bit. They're up to 48%. Billikens have been in the 60s pretty much all game long. They're still there now at 64%. They are just an incredible 14 of 21 from three-point range. Trey Green, 7 for 10, just himself from the three-point arc. Turnovers were a problem in the first half, but both teams have settled down on those here in the second half. 12 turnovers apiece. Just 1 in the second half for St. Louis, just 3 in the second half for Dayton. Update on that Michigan State game. It is 50-45 for the top-ranked Wolverines. 12-14 to go in that one. $79-53 here. St. Louis leads Dayton. Trey Green leading the way tonight for the Billikens with 23 points. Deshane Montgomery leading the way for Dayton with 16. So 2 free throws here for Kellen Thames. First of 2 is no good. Billikens have missed 4 of their last 5 from the free throw line. Thames with 1 more. Gets that one. Thames now with 3 points. Again, some press shown by the Billikens. Jacob Connor brings it up the floor for Dayton. Off to Montgomery in the corner for 3, and that's good for Deshane Montgomery. That gives him 19 tonight, 80-56. Trey Green. Bounce pass to Otinho. Otinho looking inside, finds a wide open Dion Brown, who gets the easy right-hand layup. Dion Brown with 8, and we have a foul at the other end against St. Louis. They're going to get Avila with his second. Both teams will be shooting free throws the rest of the way on each foul here on out. First of 2 free throws here is no good. Malcolm Thomas will have 1 more. Malcolm Thomas second. That one is good. Thomas now in double figures with 10 points. Sharma tries a 3. That is good. The 15th three-pointer tonight hit by the Billikens. Sharma now in double figures with that three-pointer. He's got 12. Connor. Gives it off, and the runner inside, no good, but we have a foul called. And this will be a 1-1 for Dayton. Deshane Montgomery at the line. First free throw up and good. Second free throw is good. Up the floor comes Quentin Jones. Off to Brown. Brown bounce pass inside, and Otinho's fouled. He'll go to the line for 2. That's going to be foul number 3 on Bryce Hurd. So 4 fouls on Keontae Jones, 3 fouls on Bryce Hurd, 3 fouls on Malcolm Thomas for Dayton as Otinho hits the first free throw. 3 fouls on Quentin Jones, 3 fouls on Paul Otinho for the Billikens. And Otinho hits both free throws. 6 minutes remaining. Connor dribbles it up the floor for Dayton. Connor on the drive, kicks it outside for a wide open 3 in the corner. That's good. Deshane Montgomery now with 21. 87-62. Avila. Sharma, that's short on a 3. A rare miss from 3-point range for the Billikens tonight. However, going down the floor, Dayton turns it over. Brown was going to inbound, but now it's going to be Sharma inbounding to Quentin Jones. Jones to Sharma. Sharma outside to Jones. Jones drives inside, gets cut off, sends it into the corner. Avila for a deep 3. That's off the back rim, no good. Offensive rebound. Billikens putback is good. As Brown will lay it in. 89-62. Brown now in double figures with 10. Deshane Montgomery, he's got the hot hand here for Dayton. Back outside it goes to Bennett. Bennett, top of the key, 3-pointer. That is short. Rebound pulled down by the Billikens as we're under 5 minutes remaining. And a 3-pointer for Jones. That rims out. Rebound pulled down by the Flyers. Bennett, ball knocked away. Dayton able to keep possession. Javon Bennett for 3. That's off the back rim, no good. Rebound pulled down by the Billikens, Quentin Jones. Jones, Avila tries another deep one. That's no good. Avila does not have the touch tonight, but the Billikens haven't needed him. And Dayton yet again will turn it over. Sharma. Sharma for 3. Good. Ishan Sharma with another 3-pointer. That is the Billikens' 16th from long range tonight. Dayton trying to answer with a 3. They do not. Rebound pulled down by Brown. And then a foul on Dayton. 3 minutes, 38 seconds away from the Billikens' 15th straight win. Shooting still well over 60% for St. Louis. They are 62% on 32 of 52, 16 of 27 from 3 They have dropped under 60%. They're now only shooting 59. 12 of 17 at the free throw line for 71%. Dayton still at 47% from the floor at 22 of 47. 6 of 16 from 3 at 38%. They are 12 of 14 at the free throw line. Again, a reminder, back tomorrow night on the live stream for first place in the Missouri Valley Conference. Missouri State used to be in the Missouri Valley Conference. They're not anymore. They're in Conference USA now. Murray State and Belmont, the Racers and the Bruins for the outright lead in the Missouri Valley. That'll be 8 Eastern tomorrow night. I'll be on just prior to that, get you set for the Racers and the Bruins to see who takes solo first place. Belmont also looking for win number 20 on the season in that game as well. I will try to be on prior to that for another college basketball game. Will just depend on the work schedule, so that's why I have not committed to one beforehand, but for sure we'll be on tomorrow night for Murray State and Belmont out of the Missouri Valley. Couple of old Ohio Valley Conference teams, Murray State and Belmont, now in the Missouri Valley, doing battle. Dayton down 22 in the first half. They had battled back to cut it to 10 at one point early in the second half, but the Billikens went on a 12-0 run after that and have not looked back since. And once again, the Billikens have surpassed their season average in points. Deion Brown at the line for 2 for the Billikens. A 1-1, excuse me. First one is good. One more coming, and it will roll around and out. Rebound pulled down by the Flyers. 3.5 left. Javon Bennett with it. Bennett looking for help. And Connor with the pull-up jumper. That's too strong off the back rim. That'll go out of bounds. It'll stay with Dayton as the Billikens knock it out. Inbound it is. Connor. 10 to shoot for the Flyers, and instead Dayton turns it over. Quentin Jones all the way for the dunk. But I don't think that's going to count. I think there was a foul beforehand. Quentin Jones will be at the line for a 1-and-1. And now we have a technical foul as well. Anthony Grant was just teed up on the Dayton sideline. He's been fired up a couple times over there on the sideline tonight, and the officials finally had enough and teed him up. One out of 2 on the technical free throws, and the Billikens have the ball. Sharma tries another 3 and hits again. Ishan Sharma with 18 on 6 of 8 shooting from beyond the arc. And a foul on the Billikens. This is an incredible stat. Billikens have 17 three-pointers tonight. Dayton has 22 total field goals in the game. Sharma is going to go out for the final time tonight as Josh Schertz starting to clear the bench here a little bit with 2:31 to go. Deshane Montgomery at the line. First is good. Second free throw is good. Bryce Hurd returns to the lineup for Dayton, replacing Montgomery. Layup is good underneath for Brown. He's now got 13. Durkak over to Connor. Down to 2 minutes. Durkak tries a three. That's an air ball. Out of bounds to the Billikens as they look for the century mark in points this possession. On the drive, layup hit the bottom of the backboard instead from Cam Hudson. Rebound for Dayton, and a three-pointer is up and good. That was Damon Frary with a three-pointer. Jax Kerr with it. Now Brown. 10 to shoot. Brown. Bounce pass. Spin move. Layup. No good. It rimmed out. The roof was ready to come off Shifet's Arena. That would have dropped and gotten the Billikens to the century mark. Runner in the paint, no good. Putback is good off the miss. Final minute. The Billikens and the crowd at Shifet's Arena comes to their feet. Dunlap is fouled. I'm sorry, that's Kerr, excuse me. And he will have a chance to get the Billikens the century mark as he heads to the free throw line. Spartans have come back to tie the Wolverines. Free throw is good. And that gets the Billikens to the century mark tonight. Kerr misses the second. Rebound pulled down by Dayton. Three-pointer is off the back rim, no good. Offensive rebound for the Flyers. And a three in that corner at the other end is no good. Billikens pull down the rebound. They will have to shoot it one more time. This is the coach's son, Schertz. The turnaround, Kerr with the right hand, and he puts it in. Jax Kerr with a field goal, 102-69. And the bounce pass and a dunk. 102-71. That might be the final score. The Billikens will not have to shoot it again. And they will not. And the Billikens, in front of a sold-out Shifet's Arena, who is on their feet, win for the 15th consecutive time. They go to 21-1 on the season, 9-0 in the A10 as they blow out Dayton tonight. 102-71, the final score. Dayton falls to 14-8 overall, 5-4 in A10 play. And the Billikens offense was at work once again tonight, as their lead in the A10 is now a game and a half over George Mason. George Mason in action tomorrow in Olean, New York against St. Bonaventure. Run down some final stats in this one before I sign off for the night. Billikens were in the 60 percentile in field goal shooting all night long. I think Coach Schertz played everybody. They end up shooting 63% from the floor, 35 of 56, 17 of 28 from the free throw line at 61%. They were 15 of 23 at the free throw line for 65%. Dayton, for the game, ends up shooting 25 of 55, a lot better in the second half. 45%. They were 7 of 20 from three-point range, 35%. And 14 of 16 at the free throw line for 88%. Rebound edge for the Billikens, 30-23. Dayton turned it over 15 times. Billikens turned it over 13. Billikens put 4 in double figures tonight, led by Trey Green's 23 points, 18 off the bench on 6 of 8 three-point shooting for Ishan Sharma. Also 18 points for Quentin Jones and 13 out of Dion Brown. Just missing double digits with 9 points, Amari McCautry. 8 points for Paul Otinho. 7 points for Robbie Avila. Didn't have a strong game tonight, but the Billikens didn't need him. 3 points apiece for Jax Kerr and Kellen Thames. For Dayton, they were led tonight. A very good game for Deshane Montgomery, 23 points. 12 points out of Emil Lee Tang and 11 out of Malcolm Thomas, the 3 in double figures for Dayton. Javon Bennett at 9 points, 7 points out of Bryce Hurd. 4 points from Jayun Simon, 3 points from Damon Frary, and 2 points out of Jordan Durkak. The scoring for the Dayton Flyers tonight as the Billikens win 102-71. St. Louis improves to 21-1 on the season, 9-0 in A10 play. Flyers drop their 4th straight. They fall to 14-8 overall and 5-4 in the A10. That's going to wrap it up tonight. Again, my name is John, Sports Bonanza John on YouTube. If you like my content, really would appreciate a like and subscribe. That would really help out a lot. Also on Kick, you can follow me there at Sports Kick John. You can also follow me on Twitch at Sport Guru John. Appreciate it. It was a pretty good view count tonight. I want to appreciate all of you that tuned in tonight. Be back with you tomorrow night for battle for first place in the Missouri Valley Conference, Murray State and Belmont. That will be at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the live stream. I will be on just prior 7:52-ish, 7:53-ish when I'll go on, preview that game. Get you set for the Racers and the Bruins in a battle for solo first place in the Missouri Valley Conference. Again, appreciate all of you joining me tonight. Appreciate all of you that chimed in on the live chat. And hopefully tune in again tomorrow night with me for Murray State and Belmont from the Missouri Valley Conference. Appreciate all of y'all, everyone. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow night.